Hi everybody, I am Omni Rusted. I'm here today with Sinn. Do you want to say hi? Not you, him. So today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about how to play D.Va. There's a lot of videos online that talk about seriously? Okay. That talk about tips and tricks with D.Va, but a lot of them are just, I'm just seeing your shadow right now, but a lot of them are just reading off the wiki or giving information that everybody knows. I thought I'd actually put in some information that is actually, you know, tricks you can do with D.Va. And what we're going to start with is the charge punch. So there's different things that you can do, and I'll show you basically the difference between them. Let's go over here.
You don't want to listen to the grumpy asshole guy?
No, I don't. Okay, so, anyway, stop moving. This is how far a punch knocks you back. Barely at all, right? And it doesn't really do that much damage. Do you want to go hit the med pack? Behind you?
That did about 30 damage.
Okay. I thought it did 50. Oh well.
Oh. You know the trick.
Anyway. Charging does about 50 damage, knocks you back that much.
No, that was 25.
25, really?
Actually, I went from 200 to 175. That's math.
Well, that lied to me. Okay, hit the health pack again. Okay, now what we're going to show you is the charge punch. Now the charge punch is basically, and literally, pretty easy, but it's something that not a lot of people seem to be doing. I see on a lot of streams or in a lot of videos. It's you charge, and at the end of it, you cancel it with the punch. A lot of people, when they're charging, they cancel it with the shooting. Just cancel with the punch. It knocks back a ridiculous amount and does more damage.
I don't know. To 145.
Yeah, see, it does a hell of a lot more damage, knocks you back a hell of a lot faster.
120.
And you fly a hell of a lot farther. And that's the charge punch. It doesn't seem like it'd be that much of a big deal, but it really can knock you back. Here, go and get on a roof here. Let's show them what happens when you really get knocked back with it.
I'm gonna go up there with style. Hang on.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and stand to the corner. Or that works too. It's useful for, sure, if you're just flying up to a place, you can just go up there. And I mean, look how far he travels, and look how much damage that did.
I went from 290.
See? The charge punch is incredibly powerful. I don't even know why it does so much damage, or whether it depends on the speed you're traveling or anything like that, but the charge punch is an incredibly useful D.Va tool. I don't know if it's like the difference you travel or anything like that, but the charge punch is just incredibly useful, does a ton of damage, and is just really good. The next one we're going to test out, and I'm going to show you all, is the second tip, which is side and back versus front damage. Now the thing, I gotta find a new med pack. The thing not a lot of people talk about with D.Va is the fact that she has the biggest head box. I was getting a med pack. She's got the biggest head box of anybody. Anybody in the entire game. So, basically the entire body part of D.Va, the entire central body part, is a headshot to her when she's actually in the mech. So, shoot me in the face. 205 with a Widowmaker shot. An incredible amount of damage. And Widowmaker, of course, gets, I think it was ×2, or was it ×4 now?
I don't keep tabs on Widowmaker, so you guys will look that up later.
Okay. I'll probably make a notation right about now on it. But her back and her sides give an incredible amount of damage. Say you're being frozen by a Mei, and you want to just put yourself in a corner. Mei's going to freeze you. Put yourself in a corner, she can't shoot you in the face. Do damage to my side, please. See, look at that difference in damage. 385 instead of, what was it, 265, something like that? An incredible difference in the damage, just by taking damage to the back instead of the front. Because of the fact that D.Va has such an incredibly huge body point.
Alright, let's
Test the back. Hi there.
Time to raise my APM.
Okay, so we're back. Sinn is now on D.Va, and I'm going to show you basically what counts as a headshot, what counts not. So, right now, aiming for the arm. Headshot?
3d5.
Not a headshot, okay. Here, let's... There's a med pack over here. There's... You're killing me here. Full?
Yep.
Okay. So, body shot, not head.
205.
See? An incredible amount of damage. Now, of course, this is Widowmaker. Go ahead and turn around again. Above the head. Even more. She has an enormous head hitbox.
Let me get to full health. Hang on.
Yeah. So the thing with D.Va you really got to remember is the fact that she's got an enormous head hitbox. So it actually really helps to be trying to keep them on your side as you're advancing, so they're not shooting you in the face. Don't advance straight on as D.Va. Just try and advance like at a corner so they have less chance to hit you in the face, sort of like this. And just know that as D.Va, you can be shot in the head really easily. But the back, not that much damage at all. How much is that?
438.
Yeah. Your back armor, for some reason, does way less damage than your side armor. So, if you can, get them to shoot you in the back. If you're a Mei, yeah, if you're fighting a Mei, again, put yourself in a corner, face down, so they can't shoot you when you're frozen. And then escape once they unfreeze you. Face to the side when fighting somebody else, or advance at the corner so they're more likely to hit you in the side than the face. And if you can, avoid a headshot, because it's going to do a hell of a lot of damage. Anyway, let's go on to the other ones. The next tip we're moving on with works along with the first tip, the Reinhardt Bomb. This means you're a great counter to enemy Reinhardt shield walls. You can easily use the charge punch to push them out of the way, as melee and regular movement moves through his shield, which will move him away from that team they're guarding and completely disrupt enemy formations. This will also, nearly every time, make you too tempting a target for any Reinhardt, which will cause him to drop his shield, swing his hammer around, or completely change his shield direction to follow you, which will give your team the angle advantage. As a D.Va, you should consider yourself less a frontline tank, such as Reinhardt himself, and more a backline skirmisher, which goes on to our next tip. Your role. D.Va is classified as a tank, sure. She has some of the best armor in the game, and basically a second life when her mech is destroyed. She also has some of the best mobility in the game, and should be thought of as a backline skirmisher and harasser instead of a frontline tank. She can sometimes work in her role as main tank, sure, but excels as a backline off tank, with a Zarya or Reinhardt as the main tank she is supporting. On Hanamura, Volskaya, and Gibraltar, for example, she excels at moving quickly behind enemy lines to counter turret placements or chase down pesky snipers. If you're the only tank, you should of course never abandon your team, but as an off tank, she is ideally suited to moving in and wreaking havoc with her jet boosters. On to our next tip, boosting with your shield. As an anti-sniper backline skirmisher, you should keep in mind that D.Va still has an incredibly large headbox like we talked about in tip 2. Her mech can easily be destroyed by any Hanzo, McCree, or Widowmaker who has the time and placement to land the easy shot. While you cannot shoot or melee in flight since it would cancel your jets, you can activate your defense matrix while in flight with no penalty. This allows you to easily get in close range to snipers and take them out or force them to move away. Ana's, Widows, and Hanzos become nearly helpless at close range, allowing you to force them to move or kill them outright. A good sniper can make a defensive line impossible to take out. D.Va is well suited to ruining any sniper's day. You should keep in mind, however, two things. First off would be Ana's Sleep Dart. Ana's Sleep Dart, or say Hanzo's Scatter Arrow. Both of them are the answers to D.Va or any close range fight. When approaching an Ana or a Hanzo, or even a McCree if you're trying for that, always make sure to keep a little bit of your defense matrix in reserve. That way you can shoot them a little bit until they turn to engage you, and then matrix again right away to try and absorb the scatter arrow, the sleep dart, or the flashbang. This brings us on to our next trick, exploding. Nuking the entire enemy team is, naturally, cool as hell. You set your mech to detonate, which does 2,000 damage in a very large sphere. It has a 3-second cooldown, blah blah blah, you know all this already. This tip will seem more like some of the obvious advice I've been trying to avoid, but there are some things you should always keep in mind when activating it. Firstly, it can be blocked by any shield. Reinhardt's shield will easily absorb all the damage, nullifying it completely. This will of course break Reinhardt's shield, which leaves him and his team open for whatever else your team is planning to do. Winston's bubble will also completely nullify it, though the damage from the mech far surpasses the 800 damage that his bubble can normally just absorb. And always keep in mind, of course, that a talented Winston can easily jump over your detonating mech on the ground, dropping a bubble on top of it, and it will absorb the damage from the mech inside and outside the bubble. So always keep in mind that. People can hide behind Mei's ice block to avoid it, Zarya's bubble to avoid it, or really any simple corner or a big enough pole. Using the detonation around a placed Reinhardt, such as throwing it up into the air, should only be used when the Reinhardt is dead or otherwise occupied, and it is always best to save your detonation until you are absolutely sure of what its effects are going to be. For example, use your detonation to clear a control point. I'm not saying kill anyone, it might not even kill anyone, but it can easily force the enemy team to run behind walls to avoid it, allowing your team to move in, which is called zoning for anybody who hasn't played a MOBA. It can also force the enemy team to move behind a Reinhardt shield, opening them up for Pharah's rockets, Zarya's black holes, Junkrat's tire, or Roadhog's whole hog. While killing the enemy team with a well-placed nuke from above can be quite satisfying, you should always keep in mind the other uses it can have. Before using your boosters and shoving your mech into the enemy's defensive line, always make sure to note what their counter will be and where they will be hiding. Another thing to consider is getting knocked out of your mech after it has been destroyed by the enemy team. When the ejecting image pops up as a warning, you have a few moments that you can still hit your nerf this button, giving your enemy who thought you were defeated a nasty parting gift. This also allows you ample time to escape or chase them down as they scatter. It's recommended before playing D.Va too much that you learn the angles of each map, practicing in custom games to learn the best angles at which to launch your mech in the hopes of catching the enemy team unaware from directions that will surprise them instead of just be instantly countered. Always remember that Overwatch is a team game and you should be using the emote wheel to synergize with your team before using it. You would greatly regret it if Zarya had her black hole and you didn't take advantage of it because you were just too eager to throw the nuke over the enemy team. Which brings me on to our next tip.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
When outside of your mech, D.Va might seem weak. She actually changes from a short to mid-range tank into a long-range monster. Her light gun is one of the most accurate and powerful guns in the game, and her small frame makes her like a less mobile tracer. Using your mech to distract the enemy team as it's destroyed, you can begin firing your light gun into the red team spaces almost instantly. If you then use this opportunity, or the force at which you leapt out of your mech to run away, you can move behind enemy lines again, doing damage to enemy emplacements and distracting them, as your light gun's damage should never be ignored. Tip number 8.
Time to raise my APM.
D.Va's defense matrix, thankfully, was given a significant buff recently. It's now ideal for protecting yourself when entering into firefights, sure, but there are far greater uses for it. It's not as ideal as Reinhardt's shield for being a main tank and protecting the team, sure, but can easily allow your team a few seconds to pull back into a better defensive position, or take a quick sidestep into a better attack flank. Its greatest use is encountering enemies' ultimate abilities. If used timely, it can easily outlast and counter Reaper, Pharah, and Roadhog. If used in the right distance and at the right time, it can absorb Zarya's Ball, Ana's Nano Boost, Hanzo's Dragon Arrow, Mei's Weather Beacon, and even Junkrat's Tire. D.Va's Defense Matrix is also the only shield type that can completely absorb Symmetra's Ball and Reinhardt's Flame Strike, making it ideal for protecting an advancing enemy team who is prepared to counter a Reinhardt shield. The only thing it's unable to counter is beam weapons, such as Zarya's Laser Beam, Mei's Ice Spray, Symmetra's Microwave Beam, and Winston's Taser, things which you should always keep in mind when advancing. This will bring us to our last tip, advantage and counters. Classes you can easily counter: Hanzo, Widowmaker, Ana, if you absorb their Sleep Dart or their Scatter Arrow, Soldier 76, Zarya if you can time her self bubble correctly, Mercy of course, Genji, Pharah by approaching with the defense matrix and up close range shotgunning her in her smug flying face, Tracer, Junkrat at close range, Mei, if you can outlast her freeze and force her to ice block early. Lucio and Zenyatta if you are aware of his Discord ore, which can easily rip you apart. Classes that she will regularly trade off with. Winston, if you can keep him at mid-distance or force him to escape. Other divas, of course. McCree, depending on his aim and how recently he used his flashbang. And Reaper, depending on how recently he uses Wraith form, and if you do not approach him directly. Always try and approach Reapers from behind, as he is the close-range tank destroyer. Classes that should be avoided. Torbjorn, if he is protecting a level 2 turret, it can be very difficult to take out. Not impossible, just difficult. Bastion, if he's paying attention, as his ammo capacity can outlast your Matrix. Reinhardts will outright wreck you with their hammer. Roadhogs, if they can hook you in close enough. And of course, Symmetra is a hard, close-range D.Va counter in all cases, so attempt to keep a distance on her. Another thing to keep in mind when approaching or attacking Reinhardts is their hammer gives a much better knockback than regular melee does. If you time your jump correctly, Reinhardt's hammer can actually push you back even farther than it normally does, and can actually be used in advantage with being knocked out of your mech, as the Reinhardt's hammer, after he's destroyed your mech, can thrust you back, sending you to the mid-range or long-range distance that you can prefer. In conclusion, remember that D.Va has trouble killing anyone one-on-one if they play defensively, and you should not always expect to be getting kills. Overwatch is a team game, and in the role of D.Va, you should always expect to treat yourself as a tank support rather than main tank or main killer. She is absolutely adorable, fun to play, and gives us all hope that someday we'll be so good at games that Blizzard will also buy us a gigantic mech to kill kaiju-sized Omnic behemoths. Hint, hint. I am OmniRusted. I really hope you enjoyed this video. This was my very first tips and tricks video. I'd like to do more, though I don't really know if anybody is as deep a playstyle as D.Va is. If I missed anything, which of course I'm going to miss something, go ahead and send it in the comments. Go ahead and send me a message about it on Twitter, whatever you like to do. If you liked what I did here, go ahead and like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, whatever you want to do. I'm not your boss. It's all up to you. All I really hope you did today is just enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.